I'm Vandana Rai. I'm a licensed immigration advisor. I would probably tell you what are you allowed to do on your student visa and what you should not be doing on your student visa. Sometimes when students are not aware of this, they could end up breaching their visa conditions unknowingly. So you should not get into that situation. So I'll start off while it's it comes on. Have you all seen your visa? Read it carefully?
Yeah.
All details correct? Yeah, sometimes the details could be incorrectly recorded there, because whatever your advisor, whatever you filled up in the form gets recorded in the visa copy. So make sure that you read it carefully, all the details, your date of birth, your spellings, your school name, your campus, everything is correct. Make sure that there's no amendment needed there. You should know what they are. First is about your true identity. You've conveyed, this is what my identity is as per your passport, your date of birth, and that's how it should remain. If this is what immigration believes, so everything that you've given in your passport is true identity for you. Second thing, that you have a good character. You would have submitted your PCC with the application. You would have given a confirmation that you've met the character requirements, and that's the reason you are here. As we move on, I'll explain. Please make sure that this is consistently maintained, not getting into situations where driving offences and other things could mean that you have not met the character requirements for the next application. We'll come on detail in there. No change in circumstances related to course or provider. Cannot change your circumstances of the provider. If you think there is a need for you to change something, you will have to first change your visa, and only then you can change your course or the provider, otherwise you cannot. And must have a valid visa at all times. You be aware of your visa validity. When is it expiring? Make sure that you start gathering your documents for further, be it a student visa extension or a post-study, whatever your situation be. Make sure that you don't forget that date. I've seen instances where students come to me few days after their visa expiry and say, hey, I just forgot that my visa expires. You'll get into a situation where you don't have a visa, you'd have to then get into a section 61 request. Make sure you don't forget that. Because you have to pay your rent. Your main purpose of being in the country is to study. I'll move on to the next step and I'll explain more in this. Satisfactory academic progress, 100% attendance unless genuine reason. So a lot of times students will miss the class and they will say, hey, I missed it because I was feeling unwell. That's fine. This happens quite a number of times, and in the end, when you apply for the next application, the visa officer would say, hey, can you provide me with your work history? Have you been working? So the student will say, yes, I've been working 20 hours only. But then you can get into a situation where the officer comes back and asks, you were unwell, but you have not missed your part-time work, but you've missed your study. So which means you've breached your visa. Your main aim to be in the country is to study. So if your visa allows you to work full-time, it's only during that set of dates which are mentioned on your offer of place, no other dates. Sometimes students will say, hey, this term is over, I finished the papers, now I have exams the next week, we don't have any other class this week. Fine, but that doesn't make this week your scheduled vacation. Be aware of that. If your exams are over and you are waiting for the result, you have no classes, doesn't mean that becomes your scheduled vacations. Your scheduled vacations are only the dates which are on the offer of place. Please be aware of that. I've seen students getting into the situation where they thought it was, because they did not have their class, they thought it was their scheduled vacations. They worked more and the visa officer picked up and said it's a breach of visa. So just be aware of that. How many are working? Working? Okay. So how is your salary being paid? Wages being paid? Weekly or fortnightly? Fortnightly. So even if you are being paid fortnightly, so how much, if you work 20 hours a week for week 1 and 20 hours a week 2, how much will you get for 40 hours? So even though your salary is coming fortnightly, you are still only allowed to work 20 hours a week. So if in 1 week you could only work 15 hours, that does not mean that in the next week you can work 25 hours, because the fortnightly would still be 40. No. If you do that, again it will be a serious breach of visa condition. If the visa officer asks for the rosters or your slips, it would very clearly say that even though in the fortnight you've only worked 40, but first week 15, second week 25, that means in the week that you worked 25, you've breached your visa condition. That you be aware of some character offences, because I did mention that you've met the character requirements, that's why you are here. So, if you do not meet the character requirement, the next application will not be approved. The next application could be student extension of work unless you met the character waiver, if you get the character waiver. So, what are these conditions which you could get into? And I see a lot of international students actually get into this is, sometimes when you make statements or evidence that is false, or you withhold information. Very simple, you don't realize the repercussion unless you get into that situation. That situation could lead to dangerous driving, could lead to convictions, could lead to just visa renewal not possible because of not meeting the post-study pathways. I'll lightly touch base on that. You probably would be aware of that. What are the courses most of you are doing? Masters and bachelors. Okay, so anybody who's doing a bachelor's is eligible for a post-study work visa, same duration as you study here in New Zealand. So 3-year bachelor's will give you 3-year post-study work visa. PG diploma again has same duration as you study here in New Zealand. And masters, if you complete a masters, you get 3-year post-study work visa. When you are applying for the post-study work visa, you need to submit to immigration that you've passed your course, you've met the conditions of your previous visa, you've maintained your health and character requirements, and then you should have enough funds and you'll get the 3-year post-study work visa. Pathways to residence, I'm not touching here, but just letting you know, there are multiple pathways to residence, and every pathway needs a skilled job. Even if somebody's got 6 points, they would still need a skilled job in New Zealand. So that skilled job, do you know how will you be able to get into a situation where you can get a skilled job? What is a skilled job? A skilled job in New Zealand is a job which is either in the ANSCO 1, 2 or 3. I'm not going into that detail because that's out of the scope, but just telling you there are few, you can Google and see ANSCO 1, 2 and 3. Just reference point for you, it is paying you median wage rate. Median wage rate roughly around 31 for now. How will you get into a situation where you get that job? When you are studying, make the most of it, use the skills, upskill yourself. The more you upskill yourself, the easier for you to then find a job which is considered as a skilled job, makes you come on the pathway to residence. So, anybody who's done a master's, 1 year of skilled work experience gives you the 6 points, you could then apply for residence visa. Anybody bachelor's, you need 3 years skilled work experience, and then you could get 6 points. Alternatively, there are many other paths. If your job is in the green list, there could be straight to residence. If your job is in the green list, there could be work to residence. There could be some sector agreement. So, multiple other pathways, but every pathway would need a job offer, a skilled job offer, which probably you'll only get if you use this time intelligently and upskill yourself. Your friends, only if they are licensed or can give you advice. So don't listen to what the friends say, because they may not be licensed, they may not know what the information is. So please seek professional help if you have questions, so that you do not get into a situation that you probably unintentionally do something wrong. So happy to help. We speak different languages, and if you have any question, always ask, don't just assume anything.